Okay, sounds good.
Oh, all right. We have Mike Storella here with snom, and they just made an announcement on partnering with HP for a Lync phone, a Lync optimized device. And tell us a little bit about the new HP snom agreement, Mike.
Well, basically, Matt, glad to be here, by the way. Essentially, HP has given us the right to sell, worldwide through our distribution, the HP 4110 and the HP 4120.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they are Link-enabled optimized phones. And this new agreement is clearly to, fulfill a need that we think is still in the marketplace for the desire to buy optimized phones because they fit a particular need.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going pretty well. I mean, we've got a lot of excited opportunities that basically contacted us right away about that opportunity to get the HP's phones.
All right. All right. And typically, snom devices are snom branded, so a little different to see snom selling a different brand. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think, as I mentioned before, you and I had this discussion. I think it happens a lot in the business world, in the voice over IP business and phones. Actually, I mean, you'd be probably surprised it happens more than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, clearly to us, it was the fastest way to get an optimized phone in our portfolio for our customers who are interested in Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think that snom will have, at any point, will have a snom branded Lync phone edition or a Lync optimized device?
I don't think so. I think the HP brand and support and is without question one of the best companies in the world. So I don't think there'll be a need to say we need to have something branded with our name on it. We have close to 7 phones, as you know, with our brand name on it that are SIP-based Link qualified phones. I think over time, frankly, the qualified phones will be getting more and more parity with the optimized phones as we continuously add features to the SIP-based phones. I think that those offer a different opportunity for the customer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have a very, very entry-level phone, which basically ends up costing like $99, and you can put 4 lines on it. Whether they be link lines, I'll call them, or other SIP-based services from some other kind of IP PBX. So I think there's a lot of options for customers as this whole industry develops around Link. I mean, I think that's the most exciting thing I think you and I have probably seen in a long time. I mean, it's rapidly gaining momentum because of what it does. I mean, today you and I are having a video chat over our computers, and clearly this is an integration and collaborations of IP and voice. It's
Mm-hmm.
great.
Maybe one last question about the HP devices, and then I would like to ask some questions about the qualified if I can do that. But what does this mean? So if I'm currently buying Lync phones from D&H distributors, for example, will I be able to buy HP phones through D&H distributor? Will they be
Yes.
available through all distribution, or go maybe say a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the whole world, but clearly for the Americas, in Australia and Canada, everywhere that we support out of the Boston office, all of our distributors will have the capability of reselling the HP phones to, VARs and integrators, and of course, we'll continue. Right now, we're getting all the pricing and availability information out to those distributors.
Hmm. And I maybe shouldn't have called out D&H. It's just that they're more of a general distributor. I know there's some very telephony focused like Novus.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can list some of the other distributors as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, ABP, Teledynamics, Cynix, clearly Genentech. I mean, we have a good number of distributors in clearly North America and South America. We're in Brazil. In fact, the HP phones have been already pre-approved in Brazil, so our distributor in Brazil will be carrying them. So it's it's a big push to get these into our portfolio for our customers.
And is that the first that snom is in Brazil, or were the qualified phones already there?
Well, a couple of the qualified phones are already there, the 700 series. And as you know, it takes a little bit of time to get phones, through the process of homologation in the Brazilian market. But we are now building up our phones in that territory also.
All right. And shifting maybe a little, unless you had anything more you wanted to say about the HP agreement.
No, I think just that I think it's a great tool for for us to sell, and it's a great opportunity for our customers. They can go to one vendor like us, and pick and choose what phones meet their specific needs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And maybe shifting a little bit to Lync qualified devices, you talked about that you have Better Together on the Lync Phone Edition, or the HP Lync optimized device.
Right.
And I think there's been some talk about enhanced Better Together for qualified devices from, I believe, snom and some of the other Lync qualified vendors. Can you say any more what the Lync or the enhanced Better Together features will all bring to Lync qualified devices?
Well, I think clearly, there's been a lot of clamoring for those features, and
Yeah.
clearly one of the best features that everybody wants when you have a desk phone and your computer is you want to click the dial. So that's clearly I would say the lead Better Together feature that everybody asks for. I mean, there's some other features that are in that package, more server-side conference and conference integration. I mean, at some point with a big display on some of the bigger phones, calendaring has been requested. But I think the first thing you're going to see us produce will be the area of, and I think one of the things to get Better Together over Ethernet really is what we're doing. It's not over USB.
That's a good
So
point.
it's a different little twist. So we really have to design this correctly, and we're working with Microsoft, as probably our competitors are, and I think we're all interested in bringing that to market as fast as possible. As this Lync environment kind of matures, and people say, hey, I need, we've done like Boss Admin, and we kind of championed music on hold early on. But I mean, some of the things that we're finding that you need, we're doing multicast paging. So we're going to add things that we think are important from a telephony standpoint, but we really need to get more and more parity, with all the features that you can have in a Lync environment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are there any new Lync qualified device features that you can talk about that are coming down the pike?
No, I think the one that's probably the biggest one is the Better Together features.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably the one thing that we're probably looking at more and more is doing more configuration and provisioning inside the Lync server for our phones to make provisioning easier over time also.
All right. Well,
yeah.
That's good to hear. I think that is one of, with the snom devices and other devices for that matter, but there's a lot of settings that there needs to be a solution to take care of that. I think currently you have, what is it? There's a non-supported Snomtastic server, but then snom also has hosted.
Yeah, well, to just give you a snapshot, I mean, we have actually a thing called Snom Active, which is a cloud-based provisioning server, which we provide free to our VARs and systems integrators if they choose to use that to do out-of-the-box, provisioning of specific features, and that's a nice tool to have. Snomtastic, as you know, was an open source solution that was actually developed by some guys in Australia, in the Australian government, frankly, who were deploying snom phones and said, "Wait, we want to make it out of the box easier to deploy these." So they came up with Snomtastic, and it's gained some notoriety, and it's in certain environments it's nice to use. Then, of course, we have matured in our qualified phones with the use of cab files inside the Lync server, where when you're deploying our phones now, it can essentially be plug and play the phones will be identified by the Lync server. They would download the right firmware. So one line, one phone is the same as the optimized phone configuration. Where it gets a little more customizable is actually in Boss Admin or shared line situations where you want to do more things to the phone than just having one Lync identity. So, but again, those are in high demand because as people went out to the business community and said, we want to adopt Lync, well, we have specific needs. And some of those needs are, a nurse's station in a hospital. No one person gets an identity with the name nurse station number 3. So you need to have a multiple, response group lines on phones. Then individuals need to have lines. So we're fulfilling those needs with our shared line, our Boss Admin, features. Mm-hmm. And that calls for some telephony design, just like in a regular telephony or IP PBX environment.
Mm-hmm. And I think something that consultants or Lync consultants are very interested in is provisioning the snom phone settings, maybe going back to the snom active. You talked about the snom active and snomtastic being a server-based thing. With snom active, in some environments, people don't want a hosted solution. They like to have everything in-house, so there's not any outside for security reasons. Is there, other than the snom active and the snom tastic, is there anything else that you have that can be talked about, or anything?
Well, I mean, essentially, without going into a lot of detail, probably a little more technical is, frankly, there are 2 or 3 other ways you can provision our phones.
All right.
And essentially text-based, XML. We've had situations where people keep copies of all of the configurations on an in-house server. The Snomtastic is nice because there's some infrastructure built around the Snomtastic product where you can put it on a server and in-house and keep that, as a backup. There are other ways with DHCP, as you know, with option 667 to download certain and have it point to another server that you might build using XML to configure the phones. So it's probably a whole 3-hour course in itself on all of the capabilities that you can, configure Snom phones. But again, I think what we've done with Lync is, one line, one phone now is plug and play. As we go into the future, you'll see more and more items in the Lync server that will make it very, very easy to configure the phones for multiple kinds of settings.
Okay. And another thing on the Lync qualified devices that Snom has, anything with video. Does Snom plan to do anything with video?
We haven't at the present time. I mean, I'm not to say, you and I are talking video over, PCs and laptops. Essentially, we think the phones, and we've always had this, there's certain things that should happen on a phone, and there's certain things that probably should happen on your computer. I mean, having the availability of a large screen from a computer right next to the phone, we think, people will naturally go to the computer to use video. Now, should I say maybe in the future there might be a specific nice need to have a video phone where a computer is not available? I could surely think of those scenarios, but we have not done anything in that area as of yet.
Sure. All right, I think that's all I had. Is there anything else that you would want to say as we wrap up the recording here?
No, other than that, thank you, Matt. It's always a pleasure, and we'll probably see you at one of the shows and discuss all these topics further.